years or in the last year is major changes within the finance department on how things were done, procedures, procedures that were in place, procedures that weren't followed, and that type of stuff. You know, I mentioned a lot during the last fall. I talked a lot about financial planning, long-term financial planning for the city. And I believe you all probably felt a little bit of the frustration and the pain going through the budgeting process. And do we truly still have faith in all of those numbers, all of those accounts, and where they are? And it's not surprising to me that we're still finding things that are in places that they shouldn't be, things that aren't as they should be. And the feeling and the direction was, then maybe we need, and I always knew in my mind that most likely, even if we had a finance director on board and had the staffing at the levels that it is today, plus a finance director, that it was still gonna be a squeeze to try and get all of that in 2010. It's a huge project. So in my mind, the possibility was always there that we were gonna go out to a PSA to somebody to do that and do it on our behalf, to be able to find somebody with Paul's credentials and have them be an absolute arm's length from the city and another set of eyes that, other than this agreement, isn't paid to and isn't beholden to the city, carries an awful lot of weight to me. Dave?
I'd like to also commend RJ and Rodney in particular for not being defensive about this, but welcoming it and embracing it and so on. It will have much better results for that participation.
It's always telling when your lead staff also can look at something and say, yeah, we need that. So, Dave?
You may have covered this, but I couldn't quite hear because you were
Sorry
facing
about-
the other way.
Sorry about that, my voice is gone.
I understand. I hope this weekend was worth it. When do we anticipate having a finance director on board?
If I had to take a somewhat accurate stab at that, I believe that we will be completed with that process probably in the area of July.
And another 30 days to bring them on board?
A lot of it, Dave, depends on the timing and getting the city administrator on board. One of the things I don't want to do is get the process for the finance director so far down the road that we're almost doing a simultaneous hire. I would like to have the next city administrator also be involved in that final hiring process for the finance director.
Absolutely. So, as I understand it, we could use this analysis sooner rather than later.
Oh, yeah.
Because the sooner we get cracking on that 2011 problem, I'm not convinced that we don't have a problem this year, to tell you the truth.
And addressing part of that this year will help us not just this year, but in 11. And so if we get going on it now, and I think staffers are doing this, they're moving on it now.
But having professional direction like that would be, I think, beneficial. I agree.
Molly?
Actually, I was so pleased to see this on the agenda for tonight because I know that Paul, I have never actually met you in person, but he had actually sent an email in November saying that he would be more than willing to help us and how, you know, however he could in a sort of a pro bono basis for a short period of time. But I know in talking to RJ and the rest of the finance staff during that particular time period, they had expressed, you know, RJ specifically had said that something that he had always wanted to do and they had never been able to do it is long and short-term financial planning. And I think that Paul's gonna be able to help us really do that. I think it's an invaluable asset.
One, I want to tell RJ that from my side of this world and what little bit that I do see of the finance, I like where we're going. I appreciate the job you're doing. And the fact that you're on board with having someone else take a look at it, I really do like sometimes the person to come in and take a look at that has the expertise that we see here. A different way of looking at it sometimes enlightens all of us, and it's a real asset to have that, so I'm excited to see this happen.
And that isn't an auditor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jennifer,
Okay,
no, I
yeah,
was-
okay. I just have one quick question, and no offense to the gentleman at the end of this table. Is it just public works projects that we have to put out to bid and then get competitive bids and then award the project? Or is it just the word project that's throwing me?
Good question.
Professional services under 25,000 can go this.
So you typically a local policy that sets your thresholds for contracting and the process that you need to go through. So I'm not currently aware what your policies are.
Neither am
Well, we should find out, so we don't get caught on the next audit for not.
Good point. I'll find out for sure.
We will double check. I believe this is part of state statute that under professional services contracts allows this manner of award for amounts under 25,000.
There are typically also sole source, again, not for me
Yes.
specifically, but there are also sole source provisions that allow you to sort of state specific reasons why you didn't go through that process, and they fit a category that's also allowed.
Jennifer says project, also, I also want to see that when Chief Mitchell buys another patrol car or Chief Schumacher buys another fire truck, that we're making sure all of those processes are done correctly, so it's not just a project. And that's what I want to see, is that, and I don't think we've had issues over that, but is it the best way to buy a patrol car is what you're doing? Because we've, honestly, over the years I've been here, we've talked about issues of whether we should have every officer take one home, and is that better than buying 2 new ones every year? Quite honestly, I don't know if this is gonna come out of where you're at, but we've had discussions over, do we have set up a fund for ER&R, Equipment Rental and Replacement Fund? And we've had that, we've gone away from it, we've come back to it. I'd like someone else's opinion on those types of issues.
And options. Michael? No? No. Any other questions? Anything from staff?
My sense is bring it back, and I'm gonna correct myself. I think our meeting is really Tuesday night.
Correct.
16, if I'm right. Yes.
I could be wrong.
Yes.
I'm right.
That's what the notice on the door says.
Oh, thank
There
you.
you go.
Any other questions for Mr. Lewis? Otherwise, we'll let him rejoin his family.
Pleasure to meet you. Yes.
Paul, thank you for taking the time. Okay, updates, discussion items. I'm gonna be very brief. Next.
I have one. It wasn't in the packet.
Oh, yes, you did.
Yes, I emailed it. I apologize.
Oh, I didn't even look at
And,
email
Lloyd
this
put it
afternoon.
under D.
What's that?
Lloyd put it under D and then he skipped you.
Well, he skipped out of the room, so that's okay. I introduced it from Molly.
No, it's here.
I did send it by email.
Yes, I
but
did
I
see
know
that.
I know at least Dave had a problem opening the document, so I apologize, because I've got an updated version of Word due to documents that I was getting and couldn't open them, so I had to have IT upgrade my version of Word. Actually, you know what?
And then you have to save it as an individual version.
Yeah, I thought I saved it as an older version and sent it out, but it didn't work, but I'm not an IT expert.
Okay,
So,
So Jeanette, wellness program.
Real quickly, as part of our 2010 wellness program, and obviously all of this is in an effort to get a reduced cost, the 2% reduction in our benefit costs in 2012, what the Wellness Committee has worked with is